Hello everyone, welcome back to Chat to Mac. This is another episode, and today we're joined by my first female guest. Trying to keep it mixed up, not just boys, but some girls as well. So today I'm joined by Maddie Foreman, who's a young single mum who's had her own experiences with mental health, and she's here today to discuss them with us and discuss some other things and her own sort of views on mental health. So welcome, Maddie.
Thank you very much.
How are you? All right?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Did you have a nice Christmas and New Year in the lockdown?
Honestly, I actually was quite privileged, the fact that we was in a lockdown. So I just got to spend all the time with my son as it was his first, so it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. How was yours?
Yeah, it was nice. Did Santa spoil him?
Yes, Santa definitely did.
Did he?
Mum and Santa. We had both. We had wrapping paper for Santa and wrapping paper for Mum. Not that he understands, but it's going to be something that I do every year.
Oh, that's nice. That's the same for me and my niece. It's her first Christmas as well. So I don't know about you, but I feel as well, now we're at that age, like Christmas isn't particularly exciting, or it wasn't. But now I've got a niece and now you've got a son. It makes it so much exciting. Like I was literally buzzing sitting there watching her open her presents.
And you know what it is.
Yeah.
I literally used to, when I was younger, like, that was the best time for Christmas, but it's not. It's 100% when you're a parent. Like, when you get to be Santa, it's just amazing. Like,
did you have a beard and everything?
Best year. Yeah, like literally, it was the best year. I had so much fun.
Yeah, that is nice. No, Christmas is a nice time. Yeah, obviously it was different this year with the restrictions and stuff, but I think it puts a real emphasis on how important family time is and not taking people for granted and things like that. So, but yeah, like I said in the intro, we're here today to sort of talk about the stresses of being a young mum, the pressures that come with it, and I know obviously you've had your own battles with mental health in the past as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming on before we start. I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this sort of stuff, but I think it's definitely a brave thing to do. Obviously, I do it quite a lot now, but when I first started, it was incredibly difficult talking about things that actually make you feel quite insecure sometimes. So I'll start off just by saying being a single mum must be really hard. Do you want to sort of explain to the listeners the struggles and what's that sort of like?
So it is very difficult. Like, I always say to everyone that says this to me, like, it's the most difficult job in the world. Like, I don't care what occupation you're in, like, it's the hardest job in the world, but it's the most rewarding. Like, there is nothing more rewarding than knowing that you're raising a little person. You know what I mean? Like, there's no better feeling than having someone, as much as it is stressful, like someone depending on you and knowing that you're responsible for a life. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing more scary than that. But I just think every time I look at him and I just see him smile at me, I just think, like, it just makes everything so worth it. Like, every time I have a bad day or I'm stressed and everything goes wrong, like, I just look at him and I just think, do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that could beat that. Like, he's literally the reason. Every time I have a bad day, like, he's the reason it flips around, like, every single time.
That's nice. I mean, you get a lot of people who sort of assume that, oh, if they're a young mum or they're doing it on their own, that straight away means, oh, that baby's going to have a hard life growing up. But you're clearly showing that isn't the case, and I think it's quite inspiring for all the other young mums out there as well. Because obviously parenting is hard, whether you're 18, 28, 38, partner, no partner. But I think doing it on your own is, I think
there's such a stereotype on. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, there's such a stereotype, like, with young mums and single mums. Like, I always say to people, for instance, if I was to go out with my friends for an evening and, like, have my mum watch my little one, do you know how, like, many people would judge and look at that? Do you know what I mean? But if I had a partner and he was looking after my little one and then I went out, do you know what I mean? He doesn't even get, like, looked upon, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I think being a single mum and, like you said, being a young mum, people are like, oh, you know, this is why we live in a generation like we do, because people are having children. And I just think it doesn't matter if you're 30, 40, it doesn't mean you're going to be any better of a parent. Like, the only thing that you gain, like, you have more, is, like, life experience. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you do get, obviously, it's maturity more, like, when you're a young person, like, if you're immature and you're trying to raise a child, like, obviously. But everyone matures at different ages. Everyone's got different personality. Like, you can see me, for instance, and then someone else who's the exact same age as me in the exact same position as me, but they could parent and raise completely different. Their children completely different, because we've been raised completely different. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, when people say, like, things like that to me, I just think it's a very closed-minded way. Like, that's why, and becoming a single mum, and a young mum has actually opened my mind up in so many ways, because in a way I was probably one of them people that used to think, oh, do you know what I mean? Like I used to judge people on situations when really you don't actually have a clue. Like, and now I make sure I don't ever judge anyone on any situation they've got, because you don't actually know anything about it. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have a clue what they actually do or how good of a parent they actually are. Like social media does not portray like someone could make up to the best mum in the world, and really they're behind closed doors, they're not. Do you know what I mean? Like I think people take things too literal nowadays. Like they literally just make assumptions and judge when they don't actually know anything about a situation.
Of course, yeah. I think like you say, I think everyone's guilty of judging a book by its cover sometimes, and I've probably done it. If I've been out and say I saw you out, for example, and you'd had Carter, I don't know, a couple of months prior, I'd probably think, oh, hang on, shouldn't she be at home with her baby?
Yeah.
But if you was say 28, I probably wouldn't think that. I'd probably think, oh no, that's like probably her mum's looking after him or whoever. But because you're younger,
I just remember when I went out for the first time, I think it was like I was breastfeeding as well. So I think it was like 5 months in. Everyone was like, "Oh, what you can do breastfeed when you're going out drinking?" Like, obviously, I'm gonna express milk and not feed him for 24 hours. But everyone just assumes and makes assumptions. Then I remember I felt so guilty. I said to my mum, like, oh, I don't think I should go out. Like, you know, and she was like, "You're doing this on your own. Doing the stress you're going through. Like, you deserve to have a night where you enjoy yourself." She was like, "I went out the same week I gave birth to you." She's like, "No one said anything." I was like, "Because you were engaged and you were older. You know, no one judged it. But because I'm young, everyone's like, oh, we knew she'd be out." Do you know what I mean? Like everyone just makes an assumption. Like that's why this year I just make sure that I do everything I do for me and I do for my son. Like no one else's opinions are going to raise my child. No one else's opinions are going to pay my bills. Like no one else's opinions are going to benefit me. Like unless they're positive. If they're negative, they're not going to help me in any way. So I'm not going to focus on them. Like I'm just going to do things that I want to do that will benefit me and him, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, like you say as well, everyone is guilty of making assumptions and judgments. And you mentioned social media. Like social media, it can be really good, but it's also a really cruel place. And if you used to go back to when, yeah, exactly. And if you used to go back when you was say at school, you say, oh, I wouldn't care about what people thought, because you now don't see them. All they are a comment behind the screen. Whereas you think back when you was at school, like then people that might think that you're going to be seeing them quite often.
Sorry,
that's right. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, would you say you feel quite a lot of pressure and stress now that someone sort of relies on you physically, financially, mentally?
Yeah, definitely. Before I had Carter, I literally didn't know what anxiety was. I'll be completely honest. Like, obviously, I know about mental health. I've always been aware of it. I've always been aware of like other people, and I've always understood it, but like only to a certain degree, because obviously I'd never experienced it. And when you fall pregnant, like everyone else has ever fallen pregnant or had a baby will understand, like when your hormones change, like there's not a person on the planet that's going to fall pregnant and never have anxiety, because it's like that's literally the main emotion that I had. Because obviously you worry about the future, you worry about not being a good mum, like not knowing what to do, like because it's so life changing, it's ridiculous. And I think now I've had him, like you can't help it. Like everyone's like, oh, you're so different now, like to what you used to be. Like you genuinely can't help it because you've got so much pressure. Like if anything happens to him, but it's not even the fact of like, oh, if something happened to him, it's my fault. It's the fact that he's literally my life. Do you know what I mean? Like I love him more than I love myself. So if anything ever happened, like you just I can't even imagine it. Like, you can't even think about it because it just makes you feel so worried. Does that make sense?
100%. I mean, you mentioned the anxiety bit there, but like, I'm not saying we're the same at all. But when I met my niece for the first time, see, my sister was pregnant for 9 months, like everyone is, and the whole build up was so excited. I've never held a kid before. Prior to that, I've never held a kid. Well, not a kid, but like a newborn. I knew obviously you had to support the head and things like that, but I was so excited. And then we literally went to my sister's house when the day she got back from the hospital, and I was excited all the way up. Literally got out of the car and I thought, fucking, oh my God, I'm shitting myself now. I'm so scared. I walked in and Chloe's fiance Matt, his mum, was holding Millie, and she looked at me and said, oh, do you want to hold her? I was like, no. I'll let everyone else have a hold first. I went from being so excited to then suddenly thinking, oh my God, like this person's life is in my hands right now. This is actually real. Like she's so, and I treated her like glass. Like I didn't want to like hold her too tight. I didn't want to do anything wrong, and I was petrified. And
don't want to breathe, just want to like sit still.
And that was just from an uncle that had people around him anyway. I mean, Millie has a mum and her dad, whereas for you and obviously for Carter, you must have held him thinking like, I'm his life, like I am his support. Whereas, and I felt anxious just being the uncle, so I dread to think what that must have been like for you.
I think when you're pregnant, that's the main thing you worry about. Like I remember saying to my mum, because like, I was the same as you. Like even though I think I've got little brothers and sisters that I'd held, but like I'd never actually looked. I was like, I don't know how to change an nappy. I don't know how to. Like I didn't even know about supporting the head. I didn't know anything. And I was like, what am I going to do? And she was like, honestly, like she said to me the whole time, she was like, it will just happen. Like you'll get motherly instincts. They'll click and it will just happen. And as soon as I gave birth, I didn't actually have that. Like I worried the whole time that I was going to be like, oh my God, I just don't know how to hold it. But it was just so natural. I can't even explain. Like it's almost like I'd done it my whole life. Does that make sense? But I completely agree with you. Like, I remember my dad, and like when my granddad and stuff came around to see him, like they're all the same. I think it's more men because I think women already have that well, some men do, but like typically, like women are more nurturing, and like men are more heavy-handed.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So like, there's not one male that's actually held my son confidently. I'm not even joking. Like anyone that's actually held my son's like, oh my God.
See, I'm fine now. Now she's a bit older. I'm all right because she's not quite as like now. You don't have to worry so much about holding the head. Like before, I'd pick her up, someone would scream, "Hold the head, hold the head!" Like, so mate, it actually frightened me. Yeah, like it frightened me. It got to the stage really early on where I generally felt scared to hold this baby that I'd been absolutely buzzing to meet for like the last 9 months.
For me, the whole time.
Whereas now, like she's like I said, she's not made of glass anymore, and like you don't not
How old
heavy.
Is she now?
She's 6 months the end of this month. So she's a little bit.
After the age now, I can't even hold him. Like he won't let me. He just pushes. He's like, no, I want to go on the floor and play. And I'm like, oh, okay. I want to cuddle, but it's fine.
You say about like the females and like male and female differences. It's the same with dogs. Like I've got 2 dogs. I've got a boy and a girl, and the boy was quite with Millie, especially when she was really young, was quite boisterous. Like you'd have to really keep your eye. He's only a Yorkshire Terrier, but you'd have to really keep your eye on him when he was around her. Whereas Daisy, who has had a litter of her own, she straight away, she was laying next to her. She was sort of protecting her, and I mean that's just
animals are so clever. They get like a sense of like you said, like protection. Like they just want to. Especially with babies, like I've seen that a lot. Like I haven't got a dog personally, but like when Carter's been around, like family members that have got dogs, like we moved in with my nan for a little while, and she's got a little dog. And like literally constantly, wherever, like they had such a cute bond. Like I couldn't even get my head around it. Like he was so gentle with her. Like at such a young age, like he would just stroke her, and I was like, how are you not like pulling her hair out? If that's me, he yanks my hair out, like literally yanks me. And it was just like everywhere he'd go, she'd just sit next to him, just sit there. Like and it's like it was so cute. I loved it.
Nice. There is something definitely quite amazing about dogs. I mean, I could talk about dogs for hours, but moving on away from dogs just for a moment. Obviously, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on there, one is because you're a young single mum. I don't actually know, I can't think of any other people I know in that sort of situation. But also your Instagram stories recently. I mean, I think the first one I saw was like 2 months ago, maybe. And you made a real effort to try and get like it came out of nowhere. I don't know if you'd done it previously and I just hadn't seen it, but
no, I hadn't.
I was clicking through my Instagram stories, and then you obviously come up and I clicked it again, and you were still there after about 10 clicks. I thought, bloody hell, like this is a long video. And I'm not gonna lie, originally I just kept clicking. I thought, oh no, let me see what she's saying. And you just delivered like this really passionate sort of speech about positivity, mental health, and I thought, oh my God, like if I'm going to do this podcast, like that's the sort of person I want on there. My first 2 episodes, I've had sort of friends of mine that it's basically just been about me and my journey. To then now I want to try and get other people on here that, and sort of get a different message out. So that's definitely why I wanted to get you on here. So do you mind just telling us a little bit where them stories sort of come from? What made you want to do it?
Yeah, definitely. So I think when I was pregnant, I sort of isolated myself a bit. Like I went through quite it was definitely a journey. Like because before I had my little one, I don't really feel like I'd sort of had, I had a very positive life. Do you know what I mean? My parents raised me well. Like I never went without anything. Do you know what I mean? I never really had a point in my life where I hit a struggle that I didn't really know how to deal with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then when I fell pregnant, obviously it was the last thing I ever expected. So I didn't cope at the beginning very well. I was very, because I know how important being, I've always said like from a young age, like being a mum has always been such an important thing to me. And obviously in my head, I always imagined being, married, my own house. But that's what I wanted. So to have it in the way that I had it, I didn't want to let my child down. So obviously that brought a lot of, I didn't get diagnosed with depression, but it brought a lot of negative emotions that made me feel like really down. Like I didn't feel good enough. Like I felt like I was putting so much pressure on myself to be something that I didn't feel like I was ready to be yet. And I didn't know how to be this thing, and I wanted to be it, if that makes sense. So I got myself in a rut, basically. I didn't know how to get myself out of it. No one was like, obviously my family was so supportive, like were there for me. But like I said to you earlier, like when someone's not been in that position, it's hard for them to relate or to help.
No, 100%. So,
like people were there to listen to me and to, try and cheer me up when I was sad, but no one really had a solution or knew how. Like, and to be honest, no one would have had a solution because I'm the only one. This is what I realised, I'm the only one that can sort my situation out. So I had to just. I remember, I think it was for about 6 months of my pregnancy. Like I just felt so negative. Like I was enjoying it, but I was taking it for granted. And I think it got to about, I was about 6.5 months. And I just literally woke up and this is what I say to people because people don't believe me, but I literally woke up one day and was like, I've had enough of feeling like it. Like I've had enough of feeling down. I've had enough of focusing on negative things all the time. Like it's so draining. And I just found that every time I thought negatively or said, negative things, like that would literally impact my day all day. So I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be negative. Do you know what I mean? And then I'd go through my day and then it'd just get worse and worse and worse. And I'd say to myself, like, tomorrow's going to be another shit day. And it would be because I've told myself that. So I've already set myself up for a bad day before I even had it. And I know it sounds silly, but I literally just Googled, right, how to just sort my moods out. And then I saw some really good books on there and I was like, and I love reading. So I was like, I'm going to give it a go. And then I got this book called it's called Good Vibes, Good Life. That's the first book I bought. And that literally, reading that in itself changed my mindset completely. Like I was taking things from it. And I just thought, it's probably a load of rubbish, but I'm going to give it a go and see if it works. And I did. I started waking up every morning. I started watching like motivational videos every morning because like they say, if you watch a motivational video, like what you hear and like listen to or speak like within an hour of waking up in the morning will literally affect your mood and your whole day. So start your day off positively. Start it how you want it to continue. So I was like, right, okay, so I'm just going to do it. Like you almost trick yourself into believing that you're happy, that you're going to have a good day, and then it happens because you're manifesting it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you're manifesting that's going to happen, and it does. Like previously, I was manifesting that I was going to have a bad day, and it happened. So I was like, I'm just going to reverse it. I'm going to flip it, do a bit of reverse psychology, and see if it works. And it did. And then every day I was just getting more positive, and I was just reading more books. Like I've literally read so many now. And then I was looking, and when I was in a really good mood, I felt like there was a few people in my life at that point that were really bringing it, like my mood down. And I was like, what can I do about it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because there were people that I'd known for a long period of time. Like I didn't want to, and it just got to a point where I just had to put myself and my little one first. I just had to distance myself from people that were being negative, that were making me feel low. And when you get in a point of being happy, like you do notice that some people that you thought were friends that aren't really that happy for you, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. So
I had to sort of distance myself from people that weren't, like good people in my life anymore. And then obviously, like, again, it's all to do with reading, to be honest. Like, I read like these other books about relationships, like people come in your life and then they leave your life. Like you need to know when to let things go. Like sometimes holding on to things and people like doesn't benefit you. Like it'll stop you from growing. Like you'll just be stuck almost. So yeah, I just literally reevaluated the people that I had around me. Just sorted out my mindset, the way I viewed things, because that was the most important thing. Once you sort out internally how you think and how you feel, everything around you just changes almost naturally. Like you almost just remove people that are negative without even trying. You automatically do it because you don't tolerate the same things. And then I just started thinking to myself, like, I wish that I could have had someone just tell me all of this. Do you know what I mean? Like instead of like, obviously I've actually really enjoyed like discovering and learning everything that I've learned, like going through that hard time that I went through. But if I could have just had someone that could have been there for me, like, and explain and relate and tell me that there would be a light at the end of the tunnel, because I didn't see it. I honestly thought I'm just going to be miserable forever. And everyone kept telling me I was going to be miserable. Like, oh, you've fallen pregnant. Like, you know, life's going to end. You're not going to be able to have a future or a career, etc. And because people were just constantly telling me that, you believe it. Like when you hear something constantly, or when you tell yourself something constantly, you believe it. That's why I reversed it, because I thought I'm going to keep telling myself I am going to do well. I'm going to have a good future. And I'm going to give myself positive thoughts, and then that just literally motivated me and pushed me to prove everyone wrong, to be honest, because I just think no one else should dictate to your life and what you do with your life. That's up to you. And I just think, do you think all these Olympians and all these like other people that are doing really well in life, do you think that they sit there and tell themselves every day that they're not going to do well? Like they're not. It's not a way to get anywhere. And I just felt like I was watching people around me do what I was doing, and they weren't getting anywhere. And I was watching people around me on my social media, and I was constantly comparing. Like, oh, these people are like so happy, they're so positive, and it's literally just a matter of like just listening, learning, and just putting it into action, and just looking at how much it actually does work. Because when you're in a negative space, you look at these people and you get annoyed with these people. And I just get annoyed with all these positive people on my Instagram. I'm like, oh, go away, like actually annoy me. I don't want to listen to how happy you are because I'm not. Do you know what I mean? And then I just started thinking, like, I'm just going to do what they're doing. I'm going to start thinking the way they think. I'm going to start listening instead of ignoring what they're putting. I'm actually going to like try it because you've got nothing to lose and so much to gain. I always say that, like, you've got potentially so much to gain and nothing to lose. So why you're not going to go forward by staying in the same place you are? So you might as well try something new. Like, you might as well get out of your comfort zone and push yourself to do something you'd never normally do, because then you'll get a result that you've never had.
I think,
and that's what I did.
I think people underestimate the power of your mind. I think that
100%. I did.
I mean, obviously, like we've both self-admittedly, we've both been in bad places, and I think a lot of that, you train your mind to think negatively. Like you say, you wake up, you think, oh, tomorrow's going to be a shit day, so it will be a shit day. I was thinking, my friends don't want to be around me, so I convinced myself that they don't want to be around me. I blocked out all signs that they did, and just only looked at what they didn't want to do. So then you mentioned before about playing sort of mind games. Well, the way I used to see it was, if I've tricked my mind into thinking no one wants to be around me, it's not worth me being here, then you can also trick your mind into thinking everyone wants to be around me and everyone wants me here and I'm blessed to be here, and the world wouldn't be the world wouldn't be the same without me here. Just by switching your mindset. And again, I think that's why I wanted to come on here, because you just mentioned there about you use social media to sort of motivate yourself. You wanted to be like the people you were seeing. Whereas in my first episode, we were saying how a lot of people do the complete opposite. They look at social media, they look at the influencers out in Dubai, and then getting themselves down because they're not there, or they see someone with a nice car and they then beat themselves up because they haven't got that car.
Then I just think, like, when you see someone's got a nice car, when you see someone living a nice life, like, don't think, oh, I haven't got that. I think I'm gonna get that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want that, so I'm gonna get that, instead of thinking, oh, they've got it and I don't, because that actually is never gonna get you it. It's never gonna get you any further than you are right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned. Like, you're gonna end up staying in the same place. You can't get different results doing the same thing.
I think the beauty as well is, for the people listening, you have been that person that have thought negatively about the whole situation and is now the complete polar opposite and is now extra positive about it all. So for someone listening who might be in that negative position and thinking, you know what, I can't see past this, I don't want to be here anymore, everything I think is negative, they might not actually believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and there is that positivity in life to be found. And I think we're both now showing that we've both been in that situation. Something switched. There is a subconscious switch in your mind. For me, it was, my mum would be ashamed of what I was doing. For you, you suddenly thought, wow, like, I can't be depressed now because
I just didn't want my son to grow up.
Exactly, and you use that motivation.
They learn by example. Exactly. I just want, I read something, again, it's always about reading things. I read something and it was like, you can't teach what you don't already possess. And I was like, that's so true. Like, I can't teach my son everything that I want for him. I don't want him to be negative. I want him to have the best future possible. Like, he's literally what flipped my whole life around. Like, I just think I want him to have all these things. I want him to love himself. I want him to be confident. I want him to literally have the world at his feet. And I think if I don't have that mentality, he's going to grow up and follow by example. He's not going to have that mentality. And I need him to have the best. So therefore I need to be the best for him, because then he will follow by example. He's the person. Obviously, I love helping other people, and that's why I do the videos. That's what inspired me, because I want to help other people. Like you said, I want people to know that nothing stays bad forever. Like, you will get out of whatever it is you're going through. Like, and that's the main reason why I started doing it. Like, obviously, I want to help other people, but he is my main. If I can inspire other people, then I can inspire him. And the more people I inspire, the more he'll be inspired. Do you know what I mean? And I just, that's what drives me to do it.
It's the snowball effect. Like, you get a couple of people around you and you're starting to make them think a bit more positively, and it's that snowball running down the mountain. It's getting bigger and bigger. and now your circle's getting bigger and it's full of positive people, and now your life is positive, you're only hanging around with positive people. And then you might be in a situation where negative people you left behind might now be looking at you and thinking, oh my God, like, she used to be my friend. Like, how come she's got to this stage? And then she might get in contact with you and say, look, I know we fell out, but like, I'm actually, I'm struggling to get out of this rut that you was able to get out of. Can you help? And then before you know it, you're changing so many different lives. And I think that, like we mentioned earlier about mindset and mentality, like, I saw this, I can't remember where I saw it now. I think it was on Facebook, but it was two twins. I don't even know if it was real or not, or just like a made up thing, but it was two twins. They had a drunk dad. And
I put it up.
Oh, was it you that put it up?
Yeah.
And it was something about like, I knew I'd seen it from somewhere, but like, that just literally proves how.
I was so glad you watched that. Like, I actually uploaded that thinking, I don't know if people like if people actually watched that to the end. It was so, because when I first started watching it, I thought, what is this?
Yeah.
And then when it got to the end, I was like, like, it made so much sense, didn't it? Like, it literally clicked in my brain. I was like, that's so true. Like, you either go one way or you go the other.
That's mad though, is that you uploaded. For the listeners right now, they probably think, you definitely knew that. I actually had no idea it was you that uploaded that.
I'm sitting there thinking, what was it? And then I like, when you said it was a video, and I thought, right, and he's like two brothers, and I was like, that was definitely. I know what you're gonna say. That's so weird. But like you said earlier about when you said like your friends, like, like you didn't feel like people wanted to be around you and stuff, and you were negative, and like you changed your mindset. Did you then realise, like, because I did the same thing, like when you transformed yourself into being someone that you would want to be around and someone that you'd want in your life, like how many more positive people you attracted? Like when you were in a negative space, like when I was in a negative space, I attracted negative people. Like it was almost like a circle of negativity. Like I could, even if I was having a good day, it wouldn't last, because I'd then have someone in my friendship group who was having a bad day, and then I'd then have, my mood would go back down. Whereas when you literally attract the energy you give off, like if you're going to be negative and you're going to be low, that's what you're going to attract. So I almost say, like, to anyone that when people say to me that they don't feel good, I'm like, you don't feel good because you're telling yourself you don't feel good. If you tell yourself I feel great, lie to yourself. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if we say to ourselves all the time that we, people say that they think that they're not very, visually good looking, or they're not good enough in themselves as a person. Like when you tell yourself these things every day, you're going to believe it. Like, so just lie to yourself. Like, even and literally until you believe it, say to yourself every day. Like, this is why I do my affirmations. Like even half of them I say sometimes, I think, don't actually believe that. Like I actually stand in the mirror, as sad as this is, right, and I just say them to myself, because I think if I tell myself this every single day, eventually it's going to go in. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to start believing it, and I'm going to start actually like giving that off. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm actually going to start, because when you don't like value yourself and you don't love yourself, other people sense that. Like even when people, you do it without even realizing. Like I sense it in people without even trying. Like you notice when someone puts themselves down, and you notice when someone doesn't respect themselves. And if someone doesn't speak highly of themselves, you're not teaching other people to speak highly of you. Do you know what I mean? People will treat you how you treat yourself. And I always say that, like, your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you've got, because it teaches everybody else in your life how to treat you.
I mean, if you think about sportsmen, I mean, let's take boxing, for example. There can only be one like best boxer in the world. Same as football, there can only ever be one best of the best. But for example, boxing, obviously, in my opinion, Tyson Fury is the best boxer in the world at the minute. So then, but if you take, I don't know, say
there's different categories, isn't there?
Yeah, there's different, but like pound for pound, I think he's the best boxer in the world. But then Anthony Joshua, who's who's it's a bit of a like a dilemma with, some people think he's better, blah 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 blah, but he doesn't probably sit there and think, do you know what, Tyson Fury probably is better than me, or
and if he does, he'll use that to motivate him to be the best.
Yeah, someone else is better than me. He's better than me. He'll be sat in his mirror saying, I'm the fucking best person in the world. I'm the best boxer. And as soon as you start telling yourself that you are the best at this, you are this, you bring that inner confidence, it will better your life. He probably then trains better. He probably then eats better, because he's constantly motivating himself to be the best. And like you say about trying to be the best person you can be, I'm not saying everyone should go and be a boxer, but try and be the best version of yourself and the best person you can possibly be. And if that is, I don't know, the best accountant, if you're an accountant, or the best person that's stacking the shelves at Tesco, whatever it is, like, just be the best that you possibly can be. And obviously when we spoke,
actually, why be anything else other than the best version of you? You know what I mean? Like, because everyone cares what other people think, and this is a massive thing, because I think at the end of the day, like I said earlier, like no one else, it doesn't affect your life. Like how you feel affects you. So if you're feeling down, like don't try and make yourself a good person for other people. Like, don't try and change anything about yourself to benefit your friends or someone else. You know, if you're happy to be how you are, like, nice, fully support that. But I just think if you're not happy, like, just because if you don't do something for you, you're not going to do it. That's what I always say. Like, if you're not doing it for yourself, you won't stick with it. It won't be a lifestyle. It'll just be a pattern that you're then going to eventually fall out of. Like, you need to do it for yourself. So if you're feeling low, and you'll feel like, say, you know, you don't like the way you look and you want to change the way you look, like, you need, like, I know I've got so many friends and they're like, oh, I just broke up with a boyfriend, like, I want to lose weight, I want to do this. And I'm like, look, unless you're doing it for you, it's not going to happen. You're going to do it for a few weeks and you're going to stop. Like, you need to want to change yourself, because if you like the way you are and you're doing it just to please someone else, I don't support that. I don't believe you should do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, better yourself 100%. Only for yourself.
You said before as well about sort of changing the crowd that you were in. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what you meant by sort of a change of crowd and what being around them sort of people has done for you?
So I started originally because I was in a low place. I didn't like the way I looked, didn't like things about myself. So I was like I said, like, don't focus on things that you can't control. Like, there was a lot of things in my life that were going on that I was trying to control that I couldn't, and that was getting me down, because obviously then you feel like a failure. You don't know what you're doing wrong. And then I just decided, like, I needed a distraction almost from these things that I couldn't control and that I couldn't resolve in my life. So I just thought, well, what's something else that I can control that I'm not happy about? And I was like, right, I want to lose weight. I'm not happy about the way I look, so I'm just going to focus on that. That is going to be my focus. And then I'm not going to ignore my problems, but I'm just going to put them to the back of my mind. I'm going to elevate the positive over the negative. Yeah. And then I just started losing weight. I started feeling better about myself. I don't know, you've seen, I do Herbalife. So I was doing Herbalife products. I was on a nutrition plan, and I had a coach. So this coach was helping me. And like, the way she spoke to me literally inspired me so much, because she was just like, every single day she was messaging me, like, you know, get up, like, if I had a cheat day or if I felt down, she's like, no, don't worry. Like, because he was more than just a coach. She's actually become one of my best friends now. Like, she was amazing, so supportive. And I just loved her mindset, the way she was, like, the way she was encouraging me to be. It was like rubbing off on me. Do you know what I mean? I was then waking up feeling like, oh, I feel really good. I was then messaging my other friends, like, come on, get up, have a good day today. Like, because she was doing that with me. And that's when I sort of noticed, like, without even trying to put it into practice, like, it just naturally happened. Like, when I had her around me and in my life, I noticed how much her energy and her as a person lifted me up. And then that's what inspired me, because I thought, I want to do that for other people. I want, you know, if she can lift me up and inspire me and help me feel confident in myself, I can do that for other people. Do you know what I mean? So then I decided that I wanted to join the company. I wanted to help other people, and I have been. And it's literally, that's another thing that keeps me so positive all the time. Like, it's so rewarding knowing that you're helping somebody else get out of a dark place and feel better in themselves. Like, literally nothing beats that feeling for me.
No, I couldn't agree more. Sort I mean, similar as to why I started this. Like, obviously I've done a lot of fundraising stuff in the past, and originally when I first started fundraising, that was purely to raise money. That was it, really. I didn't really think of a deeper meaning behind it. But then as it started to go on, I started to think, okay, well, I'm actually sort of relying on this now to keep me motivated. Like, that was my motivation. Yours was obviously to lose weight and to better your life for Carl. But for me, like, that was, I thought, you know what, I need to keep myself busy. If I keep doing this, then I won't think about bad things. Obviously, my mum had died, so that was the thing I didn't want to think about. So I thought, all right, I'll fundraise, just keep going. That was motivating me. And then before you know it, before I know it, like, other people started to then fundraise. Like, I then started doing events with other people because they wanted to do it. And I started thinking, wow, like, this started with me wanting to better myself, like you wanted to better yourself. So now it's gone on to me helping other people. And there's literally no better feeling than someone messaging you and saying, do you know what, I saw you do this. It's actually really helped me. And I thought, like,
that's literally what motivates. Like, because when I first did that video, like, I don't know if you watched the first ever one. Like, I know you said you skipped through them. Don't blame me.
No, I went back and watched it.
I do go on. I do go on for a while. That's something I'm going to practice, trying to summarise what I say. But some girl messaged me, like, as I said, like, obviously how nervous I was to put it up, but I was like, if it helps one person, then it's worth it. And this girl messaged me, and she, like, a few people did, but this one person said something, like, she said this message, and it was honestly one of the nicest things I think I've ever read in my life. And you don't understand how much saying something nice to someone or doing something like that can help someone. Because I just thought, oh, like, people are probably going to decide I'm going to scroll past it or not be interested. But I thought people that aren't interested in it don't need my help. Do you know what I mean? Them sort of people are fine, so they can ignore it. I'm doing this for the people that do need my help and that will benefit from it. And when I have people telling me, like, some things people were saying, I honestly was in shock. I was like, I can't believe me just uploading a video, just telling you, you know, experience that I've dealt with has helped you and affected you that positively. Like, so I literally couldn't believe it. And I was like, I've got to keep doing it now. I can't stop now. I've got to keep helping people, because I just think I never, like, you know, people go, I always say one nice thing, like, this is what another thing I've learned from Herbalife. We do this every morning. Like, we do three things we're grateful for, 3 affirmations, and then we always say something positive, like, about somebody else. So when I do the 5:30, so we get up at 5:30, we all do a call, and on the call you say to somebody else on the call, or somebody else, like, say one positive thing about someone else. And at first I thought, why do we do that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I thought, well, we do that because that starts with that person's day. Like, someone did it for me the other day. It's something nice, and it literally made my day. Like, it improved my mood so much, and and I was having quite a down morning as well. Like, you know, you wake up sometimes and you just feel a bit deflated, because no one can be positive all the time. Like, no. It's not normal. And being positive and being uplifting, it is a big weight sometimes. Like, being there for other people and helping other people, it's amazing, but it can have a negative effect on you some days. Like, and that person saying that one nice thing about me literally made my whole day. Like, made my whole day so much better. So I now make a point every day of saying something nice about somebody in my life, or even that I don't know, because you just don't understand how much your actions can. And that's the same with negative actions. Like, when you're not nice to someone, or when you do something to someone, like, that's not positive. Like, I don't think people understand sometimes, like, 1, the power of your mind, 2, the power of your actions, and 3, the power of your words. Like, you don't understand how they can affect people in both ways.
I think as well, like, there's an old saying about sticks and stones will hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me, and that's literally the biggest load of shit. Like, nowadays, like, words are so much more effective than hitting someone.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
because they get in your mind. Like,
exactly.
Physical and mentally is different. It's a different level.
And
I believe.
I think as well, like, mental health now is becoming a more spoken about thing. Like, I say that saying, like, that's gone back years now, when, like, probably our parents were at school and things like that, and
like, it didn't even exist back then.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, and it's funny as well. You say about the effects of, like, sort of the good things you do, the effects have on people. I remember when I first started doing, like, a support group for people that had lost parents through cancer, and I spoke to this girl, and she'd actually had, like, a much worse situation, and I thought my situation was bad, but hers was so much worse. And we spoke for about 20 minutes, and I didn't even think nothing of it. She cried a lot, and she was like, "Oh, do you know what? I've had all of these things I've wanted to say. I just built up, and I'm finally getting to say them. Like, I can't thank you enough." Blah 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 blah. Thought nothing of it, and then it's about a week later, I got a letter. This woman messaged me saying, "Oh, please don't be freaked out, but could I have your address? My little girl would like to send you something." I was thinking, what the fuck's this about?
I'd like to find out more information.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I sent her my address, and turns out I didn't realise, but it was the stepmom of the girl I'd spoken to, and she was talking about her stepdaughter, so the girl's sister, who's quite young. Anyway, she wrote me this letter. It was handwritten. I actually quite struggled to read it, but it was handwritten, and it basically said, like, every night I hear my sister cry, but since she spoke to you, she hasn't cried. Thank you. That was it. And
I was like, me cry.
Yeah, and I literally, it's the letter is still in my drawer upstairs, and for me, like, I just thought I was having a chat with someone. I had no idea how much that chat could help someone, and that was back when I
the people
first
around
started.
You, even them, like, you've helped. Like, that wasn't even that girl personally writing that to you. That's her sister. Do you know what I mean? Like, because when someone's down, like, that's another thing I noticed. Like, you drag everyone down with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's
especially
why,
family as well, because they're the closest people to you.
And they care about you the most. So even if you don't want to do it for yourself, like, do it for the people that you care about. And, like, that impact you've had, like you said, it was a snowball effect. Like, you've helped her, which has helped her sister, which has helped probably her sister's friends, because she's probably not going into school being horrible anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would have continued down the line, and you would have probably ended up benefiting so many people just from that one conversation that to you probably literally took 20 minutes out of your day. You didn't even think much of it. It didn't take a lot for you to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't hard for you to do that. It's never... I always say it's harder to be horrible than it is to be nice. And I really believe that. I think if you're a good person, like, some people enjoy being horrible, but personally for me, it's so much easier and nicer to be nice. Like, I don't understand why anyone would want to be negative on purpose, because even when I have disagreements with people, or, you know, like, something happens, and like, because obviously everyone wants to be negative sometimes. Like, if you're an argument with a friend or something, you know, and I always pause and I always think to myself, like, even if that is how I feel, I don't want to speak negatively about anyone. I don't want to think negatively about anyone, because in the end, it affects me negatively. I'm affecting myself as well as I'm affecting them. So like, I just try and just constantly think positive, speak positive. And it honestly works. Like, you know, you said about the fundraising, you said like, at first you were just doing it to, you know, like for money side of things. And it was going well for you. Like it was okay. But like, once you changed your mindset into thinking, okay, like this is actually much more to me now. Do you know what I mean? Like once you actually had a meaning behind it and you put more of your energy into it and you changed your mindset, how much more did that escalate for you? Like how much better did that get?
It's true what you're saying about my mindset is powerful. And I think if you was
manifest it,
yeah,
it will
100%. And I mean, you said before we started recording about how infectious positive energy is. And that's so true. You start watching positive things, you start listening to positive things, socializing with positive people. That can only have a positive outcome on your life, your whole well-being. And I think if we was to sort of wrap up this whole conversation, we are good people. Like, we're trying to help people, and I think ever since I've started to help people, it's helped me. So there's a little conclusion for it.
People thank you. Like, people thank me all the time. They're like, "Oh, thank you. You know, done this for me." I'm like, "You've just made my day by sending me that message."
Yeah.
Like, we've helped each other. Like, I benefit you as much as you did from me.
100%. Well, I think we'll leave it there for today. Big thank you. Yeah, I can hear her in the background.
He's looking at me like, "Why are you not giving me attention?"
Thank you very much for joining me today. Keep up what you're doing. And hopefully we'll see each other out and about when we're allowed to once again.
Yeah, but, maybe like 2025. I might see you sometime.
Yeah, but thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, bye.
See you later. Well, that was the end of today's episode. Like I said before, big thank you to Maddie for joining me today. I think she had a lot of really, really positive messages. And I can't thank her enough for feeling confident enough to share them with us. Tune in for the next episode with the third one now. So we've got 3 episodes out. And like I said previously, I really appreciate all the support that I've got since doing these podcast episodes. So keep tuned for the next one, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks, guys.